fired.
Hey, welcome back to ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Airy. So, should Doctor Doom replace Kang the Conqueror as the main villain of the Multiverse Saga?
What?
That's apparently an option that's being floated around Marvel Studios and Disney, according to some reports that we're going to get into later. Now, Loki Season 2 ends with Loki saving the multiverse and deposing He Who Remains from his throne. So did this ending just write Kang out of the story? And could this be how Doctor Doom replaces Kang? I mean, Doctor Doom is one of Marvel's best characters ever, so is it wise to shuffle Kang with Doom in the middle of the saga? How would that even work? And what does it mean for Avengers the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars? So let's dissect if switching Kang for Doctor Doom actually makes sense. And also, we want to pitch how Marvel could still make Kang work and give him the perfect story and make Kang an iconic villain, and also fix the Multiverse Saga.
Kill me?
And that be it? Zip, nada, R.I.P.
Okay, so according to some reports, like an article from Variety, Marvel Studios might be looking into replacing Kang with Doom. Now to clarify, that is not a done deal, and there is a good chance that it will not happen. But basically, Marvel Studios and Disney lost faith in Kang after Quantumania failed financially and critically. And the audience didn't react that well to Kang either. Well, at least they didn't react well to him being defeated by ants.
Don't tell me I'm a disappointment.
And there's also Jonathan Majors' legal situation. Now, we're not going to get too far into that, but it is very likely that he will not be returning to the MCU. So, one of the options that came up is just to ditch Kang and switch to an entirely different villain, and that is Doctor Doom.
But you can't do this to me.
You know how much I sacrificed?
So Doctor Doom was the main villain in both versions of Secret Wars in the comics, especially the 2015 version, and that is the story the MCU is adapting for Avengers Secret Wars. I mean, that switch would make sense, at least on paper. That would be kind of awkward though, since Avengers 5 literally has Kang in its title, at least for now. Like Dustin Daniel Cretton was taken off of Kang Dynasty to work on Shang-Chi and Wonder Man, so that might mean that the entire film is being reworked. And there was also the rumor floated by The Ringer's Joanna Robinson that Jeff Loveness, the screenwriter of Avengers the Kang Dynasty, was taken off that film because Marvel was moving in a different direction. So I guess it's not too late to cross out Kang and replace it with Doom Dynasty.
Is it too late to change the name?
Kang was built up though as this big bad of the multiverse at the end of Loki Season 1. He is baked into the saga story and the multiversal conflict.
Hey person, what's on that really cool poster?
Oh, you like the new Displate? That is a Stranger Things poster, but the upside down looks like when an 8-bit Nintendo game would glitch out.
Oh wow, that's so cool.
Yeah man, and I love Displates. They're one of my all-time favorite sponsors, and they sponsored this video. Displate posters are high quality, durable, and one of a kind metal posters. The best part is they mount up with magnets, no drills or nails, so they're very easy to hang out and switch when you want a change of scenery. Like, I've always been a huge fan of movie posters. Something about walking into the video store when I was a kid and just like being surrounded by movies. And now, as an adult, when I find a poster I think is special, I want to hang something that's high quality. Like, for instance, I love how here they reimagined Kill Bill in a single image. Or this one, it's concept art from the Mandalorian episode showing Grogu escaping from the Jedi Temple. See, Displate has posters that are officially licensed by Marvel, DC, Star Trek, and of course, Star Wars. So there are a lot of posters on the site, more than 1.4 million.
Wow, but however will I choose?
Well, if you hit my link in the description, you'll see my profile where I have curated some of my favorite posters on the site. You know, I have different collections for posters that I recommend. Like in my Marvel collection, I have this incredible Doctor Doom Latveria tourism poster and this totally sweet Captain America Alex Ross picture. But like, Displates also make for great gifts for movie lovers. Like, I recently purchased this Goonies poster for my sister. Each Displate is signed by a master of production and has a fast expected delivery time of just 4 to 5 days. Plus, every time you buy one of these metal posters, Displate plants a tree. So buying a Displate is good for the environment and for your study. Plus, they have limited edition posters like this gorgeous Phantom Menace design and new Lumino posters which add an ultra thin layer of OLEDs beneath the print. So these are limited, seasonal collectible items with a new design released every 2 weeks and staying available for 12 weeks, and then after that, they are gone forever. So we're offering ScreenCrush fans a special Black Friday discount that you cannot miss out on. If you click the link in the description or use our code, you get your first 1 to 2 Displates for 35% off. 3 or 4 Displates are 39% off, and 5 or more Displates are 44% off. This is a great deal. Pool your money with your friends and get these posters today. Now, back to Kang. So Loki introduced He Who Remains, a variant of Kang who ruled the time and space of the universe. He was basically a god, a villain who was meant to eclipse Thanos. This was a fantastic introduction. He Who Remains set up the conflict for the saga clearly. It made Kang feel like a truly special and next level villain. And while the multiverse conflict depended on some heavy exposition, the stakes were very tangible. He Who Remains represented a fascinating ethical dilemma. Kill him and let all the Kangs loose, something that will ultimately lead to the death of the multiverse. Or allow him to rule, erase countless people and timelines, all to prevent the end of everything.
Without the me, without the TVA, everything burns.
After Loki, the feeling was that the Multiverse Saga would build on this, flesh Kang out in multiple movies and shows. In Quantumania, we met Kang the Conqueror, the supposed Kang that would become the variant that He Who Remains warned Loki and Sylvie about. The Kang that will fight the Avengers in Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars.
I will kill your daughter in front of you, then make you relive that moment over and over again in time.
However, this Kang didn't live up to the hype.
That's an understatement. I mean, he was beaten by ants.
Right, and then they just kind of killed him off. I mean, in just one movie, Kang went from being a promising Thanos-level threat to being like a pretty big disappointment. After that, Kang's potential sort of went downhill.
Look how they massacred my boy.
Also in Quantumania, we met the Council of Kangs, countless variants of Kang who rule the multiverse, and now they're coming for the heroes who dare mess with their domain. This post-credit scene was meant to mirror those scenes where Thanos was teased throughout the Infinity Saga. Unfortunately, that also didn't really work. There might be many versions of Kang, but none of them feel like true menacing villains. I mean, this scene almost feels like a comedy sketch.
Now, the world will tremble when they look upon Doctor Doom!
Dr. Doom, wait! The mask is on...
And before we get rolling, I have something really cool I want to announce. Today, we are launching sweet new holiday merch at our merch store, ScreenCrushMerch.com, where we design the shirts ourselves. Now, a lot of you remember our Doug Grinch ornament from last year, and now we have a Doug as parody of Hermie the Elf from Rudolph.
I'd like to be a dentist.
And we also have one of my new favorites, the Where He Goes, I Go shirt, showing the Mandalorian and Grogu riding across the sky on a bicycle like Elliot and E.T. This is in addition to this fun parody shirt, celebrating the return of Fraser Beast to the big screen.
I'm listening.
And right now, through Cyber Monday, we are running a 15% off all apparel at the store sale, with free shipping on orders over $90. So pull your money with your friends and buy some shirts today. Guys, shopping our merch store is the best way for you to directly support our channel. We love making this stuff for you. It's so much fun. Thanks for watching, and now let's talk about Kang. Now fast forward to Loki Season 2, where we're introduced to yet another Kang variant, this one Victor Timely. Short story, he didn't end up mattering. And then we saw the return of He Who Remains. Turns out that his death was all part of his plan, and that he was always in control. And going back to He Who Remains reflects the biggest problem with Kang. The MCU has already introduced the most interesting Kang, and that was He Who Remains. The trouble is that the ending of Loki Season 2 makes He Who Remains and any other Kang redundant. Loki beat He Who Remains at his own game. He found a way to save the multiverse without sacrificing trillions of lives. Loki took He Who Remains' throne and now rules the flow of time for the whole multiverse. I mean, how can any Kang possibly rival that? And now the TVA enforces the newly born multiverse, hunting down all of these Kang variants.
I guess one of them caused a little bit of a ruckus on 616 adjacent realm, but they handled it, so we're all good for now.
It's basically Marvel using the ending of Loki to write Kang out of this story.
So no more Kang?
I mean, it looks like it. Even if they introduce a new Kang the Conqueror, it's not going to solve the fundamental problem. After Loki Season 2, is there any value in trying to make Kang work?
So ditch Kang and just do Doom?
Well, if any of those reports are true, then this could be a good option. And to be fair though, Quantumania didn't do well with the audience, so not that many people watched the movie. And Loki is a Disney Plus show, and those don't pull in like massive numbers, at least not compared to the exposure of the movies that are massive box office hits. So it's not that insane to drop Kang at this point. And Doctor Doom is a far more popular villain than Kang. Doctor Doom is hands down the best villain in Marvel Comics. Heck, he's the best villain in comics. He's actually my favorite supervillain.
I agree.
I mean, guys, I own so many Doctor Doom action figures. He has an incredible story, his motivation is palpable, and everything about him just works so perfectly. Something that tragically has never been translated to the big screen very well. Now, just in case you're not familiar with Doctor Doom, I'm going to give you a really quick TLDR on this guy. His family had no homes, they were homeless, they traveled around in Europe. He was like the victim of fascism, but he was brilliant. He was a brilliant scientist. His mother was a witch who sold her soul to the devil, so he dedicated his life to like saving her soul. When he was in college, he built this machine to try to save his mom from hell. It scarred his face. He blames Reed Richards. He did this through scientific means and through mystical means. He became a sorcerer. In fact, in the comics, he's like second in line for Sorcerer Supreme, and he's almost as smart as Reed Richards. And then he goes on to become a monarch of Latveria, which gives him diplomatic immunity.
Diplomatic immunity.
And he is the main antagonist of the Fantastic Four. He's also an Avengers villain, and he's been part of many major events in the comics. I mean, he's like Batman and Darth Vader, but also a bit of Iron Man and Doctor Strange and Lex Luthor all then combined. And he's also got
Person.
What, Doug? I'm in the middle of talking about Doctor Doom.
You're a fanboy then.
You're right. Sorry. I just love Doom. Anyways, Doom is an incredible villain, but the main reason why Marvel might want to switch to him as the big bad of the Multiverse Saga is because of Secret Wars. You see, Secret Wars is Doom's story. He was the villain in the 80s version, and he's pretty much the main character of the 2015 story. Doing Secret Wars without Doom is like doing Infinity War without Thanos. This is why the switch to Doom kind of makes sense, but it only makes sense if Doom was introduced way sooner in the saga. You cannot just shoehorn Doctor Doom into the middle of the Multiverse Saga. It just doesn't make any sense. The story has already been built around Kang. Not only did Doom not appear in the MCU, but switching to a mid-saga is kind of going to do a colossal disservice to Doctor Doom. I mean, didn't he suffer enough in the previous movies? Let me make this abundantly clear. Secret Wars needs Doctor Doom, but Doom sure as hell doesn't need Secret Wars to be awesome.
Because you need me. You need me to save you.
Not to be too negative, but this reeks of desperation and overreaction, turning Doom into an afterthought, a last-ditch effort to salvage this messy saga. It would actually somehow be worse than...
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Even if they introduce him in the Fantastic Four, that is not enough time to capture the greatness of Doctor Doom. He needs his own phase to build up. And also, after Secret Wars, what the hell are you going to do with Doctor Doom? Secret Wars should be Doom's end game after a multi-year arc. Doom should have been built like Loki was in the Infinity Saga, but in reverse. He should have been the villain who pulled all the strings in Wakanda Forever. He should have been teased in Multiverse of Madness. Like maybe, at the end of the movie, it's Doom who approaches Steven and not Clea. And Doom says that the multiverse is dying and they must team up to save their reality. Doom should have been established in a Fantastic Four movie early in the saga, not in Phase 6. Reed Richards and Victor Von Doom could have had an iconic story like Tony and Steve or Thor and Loki. Anyways, getting back to Secret Wars in the MCU. Everything that's happening in the Multiverse Saga is based on Jonathan Hickman's incredible run in the comics. 2015 Secret Wars was the culmination of multiple series all being part of one overarching story called Time Runs Out. The multiverse was collapsing because of incursions. Heroes and villains worked to prevent the end of everything before time ran out. But everything came to an end in Secret Wars, where the two remaining universes, Earth 616 and Earth 1610, collided in a final incursion. With this, the entire multiverse collapsed. But right before the end of everything, Doctor Doom was able to harness some godly powers and salvage what remained of the multiverse and condensed it all into a pocket universe called Battleworld. Anyways, after the Secret Wars story was done in the comics, the multiverse was reborn with some major changes, like Peter Parker and Miles Morales sharing the same universe. And I kind of feel like that's the real reason the MCU rushed into doing Secret Wars. They wanted to do as many multiversal cameos as possible, like bringing back actors from old Marvel movies. Everything is about Hugh Jackman and Tobey Maguire sharing the screen together. That's the holy grail.
I need your help.
Go f yourself, pretty boy.
No. Please. Please don't say that.
And then they want to use Secret Wars to reboot the MCU and start fresh, this time with Spider-Man, the X-Men, and the Fantastic Four being part of the universe from the beginning. And I can't fault them for that. Sounds kind of awesome. But they should have constructed a better story leading up to the reboot, so that the audience would actually care about this universe after the reboot. Here's the truth. Even if they do somehow find a way to replace Kang with Doom, it still won't solve the problems with the saga. It will only make them worse and even less consistent. Not that the entire saga has been terrible, guys. I like a lot of the movies and TV shows that have been out. Now, while there have been some mid-movies and at least one really bad show, there were also plenty of incredible movies and shows.
So what should they do then? Keep Kang?
Yeah, why not?
But can they fix him?
Of course they can. Kang has some problems. He had a rough start, but he has a lot of potential. He Who Remains was awesome, and Kang was pretty menacing and fascinating right up until he started losing all the time. His motivations are compelling. He has what it takes to be a fantastic villain. Like, this is a writing problem, something that's plagued this entire saga. I know this sounds easier said than done, but they just need to write things better, or at the very least, studio executives have to stop over-noting writers and asking for so many different drafts to suit whatever the master plan they come up with that week. Guys, nothing else is going to save the MCU, even if they switch Kang with Doom, even if they bring in Galactus, even if they throw in all of the actors from the old Marvel movies. This saga cannot succeed without good writing. And the thing is that Kang doesn't even have to be just like Thanos. He should be different. He's just a man.
You're just a man.
Flesh and blood.
A regular human from the future with no superpowers.
But person, which Kang? There are so many.
In theory, but the MCU already has the perfect Kang, but we'll get to that in just a moment. Now, they could introduce a whole new Kang variant, somebody we didn't see before, the true Kang the Conqueror. And if they have to recast Jonathan Majors, this would be a great opportunity to do so, since this is the Multiverse Saga, where in one universe Peter Parker has this face, and yet in others he looks like this. But they don't even need an in-universe explanation for recasting. Just do it like they did when Don Cheadle replaced Terrence Howard as Rhodey.
Look, it's me. I'm here. Deal with it. Let's move on.
A recast would be jarring at first, but there's no other way. Like, it has to happen. It's a damn shame since Majors embodied Kang so well, but guy's got to be recast. And there are so many great options for this, and our top choice is John David Washington. He is one of my favorite new actors right now. Loved him in Tenet, he was incredible in The Creator, and he could bring something new to Kang. Another great choice is Yahya Abdul-Mateen II. He's Black Manta in the Aquaman movies. However, with the DCEU rebooting, he is now free to jump ship. In fact, he already did. Marvel is working on a Wonder Man show with Yahya Abdul-Mateen II in the main role. Now, the show was frozen during the strike, and now it looks like they're shooting again, so if it does kind of stall, make him Kang. And our third option is John Boyega. A bit younger, very talented, and underrated, and playing a big bad in the MCU could be a nice shift from this.
Right!
Anyways, a brand new Kang would be a clean slate, and it could work, and it is Kang's whole thing, like different variants and things. There are countless variants of him in the multiverse, so any one of them can be the true big bad of the saga. The only problem here is that the previous two Kang variants we met already have interesting relationships with other heroes, like He Who Remains in Loki and Kang and Janet. Now those are important, and they shouldn't just be expunged for the sake of doing a brand new Kang who doesn't share this history. And it might also be a repeat of the problems with Thanos in Endgame.
Or what was wrong with Thanos?
Well, Thanos in Infinity War was perfection, but then he's killed off in Endgame, and we get a new Thanos from the past, and this scene right here says it all.
You took everything from me.
I don't even know who you are.
So I think we can all agree that the best Kang in the MCU so far is He Who Remains. He is the most menacing of them all. He already defeated all of his variants eons ago. He ruled the sacred timeline. He was a time god, and he did it all without needing to shoot laser beams from his hands.
Amateurs seek the sun, get eaten. Power stays in the shadows.
But he's dead.
Yeah, but it's complicated though. So Sylvie stabbed him to death, but Season 2's twist was that this was all part of his plan. He dies, but then the temporal loom blows up and the timeline resets and He Who Remains is back.
Reincarnation, baby.
Loki changed the equation. He found another way to break the loop and save everyone. The multiverse was reborn, but with it, all the Kangs are back. Now, He Who Remains' fate is unknown. He might be dead, but he might have also planned for this very outcome. And now, he's out there in the multiverse being reborn. Now, the perfect system he built has now crumbled. His variants are threatening the multiverse. They're triggering countless incursions. Universes are colliding. And despite Loki's best efforts, the death of the multiverse is inevitable. Hence, He Who Remains must once again wage the Kang War. But you cannot be the only one who remains when the multiverse is filled with your variants. And so, he's going to dust off his old armor and go back to being Kang. There was a time when he was known as the Conqueror, and the ideal way to fix Kang is to get some inspiration from one of the most iconic movie villains.
Oh, Darth Vader?
Close. Agent Smith from The Matrix.
Yes, me.
In the first Matrix, Smith was killed, just like Kang and He Who Remains. Now granted, Smith was a far more menacing villain who's only defeated in the end, but then Smith returns in the sequels, now armed with the ability to replicate himself. He becomes a hive mind virus, corrupting everyone and everything indiscriminately. His purpose is to drown the entire Matrix with himself, and then the real world even.
So how do you apply that to Kang?
Quantum entanglement. In the Marvels, Carol, Monica, and Kamala switch places because their powers were entangled due to the quantum bands. But, in case you forgot, in Ant-Man and the Wasp, Scott and Janet were also entangled.
Hank, I would never do that. I respect you too much.
quantum entanglement, Scott.
In fact, Janet took over Scott's body at one point, almost like the agents take over human bodies in the Matrix. So here's our pitch. He Who Remains knew he was going to die, and he planned for every outcome, even the one where Loki breaks the loom.
I know it all, and I've seen it all. I paved the road.
Now before his death though, He Who Remains uploads his consciousness to other Kangs. He begins hopping in between his variants, and one of the Kangs he uses as his vessel is the Kang from Quantumania. This way, this Kang has a purpose in the overarching story, and he's not just some throwaway variant. So to clarify, in Quantumania, He Who Remains did not control Kang, but perhaps he influenced him, since this Kang shared He Who Remains' motivations. In fact, maybe Kang getting sucked into his multiversal machine is how He Who Remains is able to quantum entangle all of his variants. So He Who Remains needed him to lose so he could win in the future. This makes He Who Remains the one consistent Kang throughout the entire saga, the one who pulled the strings from the start. Instead of fighting his variants, he controls them, jumping in between their bodies, manipulating them to achieve his ultimate goal. Kang becomes his own dynasty. Just like Smith, he's everywhere, you cannot escape him. The heroes beat one Kang variant, but then he just hops into another variant. An endless multiversal wave.
The best thing about being me, there's so many me.
So imagine this scene. In Kang Dynasty, Doctor Strange meets Kang, and the two have a philosophical debate about the multiverse. And then Kang reveals that Steven is responsible for all this chaos. In Infinity War, Steven used the Time Stone to find the perfect outcome to defeat Thanos. To fulfill his vision, half the universe had to be dusted.
There was no other way.
Kang saw the future as well, since the future is also his past. He won the war, and the sacred timeline was the only way. And it creates an interesting parallel between Kang and Steven. He put Tony Stark on the path to create time travel. It was the time heist that triggered the endless branching of timelines. Time travel created the multiverse, and it's the reason why everything is going to end unless Kang stops it. And the one universe Kang wants to save is Earth 616, which is the main MCU universe. So this creates a far more personal story for the heroes. And this is why Kang's motivations are so compelling.
That's what conquerors do. They burn the broken world, and they make a new one.
It's extremely warped and nihilistic, but from his point of view, there is no other way. And he's a villain who actually wants to save reality from something far, far worse. Kang should also appear in the Fantastic Four movie. He doesn't need to have a large role. I mean, the Fantastic Four are probably going to explore the multiverse in their first MCU film. And I really hope the movie will be inspired by Jonathan Hickman's run from the comics, which delved into the multiverse and eventually led to Secret Wars. So maybe at some point in the movie, Mr. Fantastic meets Kang. The two of them have a conversation, and Kang even manipulates Reed to help him achieve his goals. After all, Kang's real name is Nathaniel Richards. He is a descendant of Reed Richards. Reed is the smartest man alive, so he could be the one who gives Kang the idea to create Battleworld. And this immediately puts the Fantastic Four right at the center of the conflict in Avengers 5 and 6. You could have a scene where Loki meets the heroes and basically tells them that they're fighting a Kang who won the multiversal war eons ago. And he's really powerful and controls time, and Avengers assemble. All while the multiverse is dying and it's too late to stop these incursions. And this outcome fuels Kang. He believes his cause is righteous. He must finish what he started and burn anyone who stands in his way. At the end of Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, everything comes to an end. Kang somehow creates Battleworld just like Doom did in the comics. And perhaps it all ends when Kang kills Loki and steals his godly power, since Loki is now the god of stories. And maybe just before his death and the multiverse ends, Loki assembles a team of multiversal Avengers to fight God Emperor Kang in Secret Wars. This would be so appropriate since Loki was the one who brought together the original Avengers. And then in Avengers 6, the multiversal heroes find a way to beat Kang, restart the multiverse, and thus reboot the MCU. Done. After Secret Wars, they can do the Mutant Saga, do Avengers vs. X-Men, and of course, introduce Doctor Doom as the big bad early on, and this way, they don't have to waste his story. In fact, we made a video about the Mutant Saga and how Doom fits into it, so be sure to check that out. So I say, keep Kang, recast him, work on the storytelling, and then guys, it's all gonna work out. It could be so good, we're so close.
Shut up and take my money!
Anyways, what do you guys think of all this? Should Marvel recast Kang? Should Doctor Doom become the big villain? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and big shout out to the writer and editor of this video, Mr. Pavel T. You can let us know your thoughts down in the comments below or at me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe, smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.